Hello folks, my name is Alex, and I think that most people want to live in a better, safer world. But we've all got different ways of achieving that. I understand that engaging with people you disagree with can be challenging, but the polarization that the 2016 election highlighted really sucks. I think that the sort of polarization we're dealing with causes people to not feel heard, or like engaging with someone you disagree with is pointless. I know it's important for me to engage with people I disagree with because it gives me new perspectives, and because sometimes I disagree with people I love. And it's important to me that those people feel heard, and that I understand them. I think that reaching out to people we disagree with is the only way we're going to be able to move forward in healthy, productive ways in society. I'd like to begin the process by starting a conversation with people who support the ban against transgender folks in the military. I'm transgender, and when I started this project, I chose the topic because I couldn't understand why anyone would support the ban. When I was doing research for this video, I was only able to find this perspective represented in comments and tweets. Even in politically conservative sources, I couldn't find many articles supporting the ban. I can only imagine that if you support the ban and you read the news, you must not feel heard by the media. I'm transgender, and I don't support the ban, but I still want you to feel heard, and I want to understand where you're coming from. My team and I found several comments from Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook from people who support the ban, and in this video I'm going to respond. At the end, there will be a link to a forum where we can discuss the video of the topic. I want to be completely transparent. I've done a lot of research on the topic, so I'm going to include some facts in addition to my own response. Links to the sources will be in the description. So for clarity, I'm going to define a couple of terms for folks who might not have heard them before. So first is gender, or gender identity. This is how you think about yourself, or how you feel about your gender internally. So you could identify as a man, as a woman, or maybe you're like me and identify as non-binary, which means you don't really feel like a man or a woman. For me, some days I feel more like a man or more like a woman, but never like 100% either. This identity falls under the umbrella term of transgender. So for more definitions, check some of the links in the description. So our first topic is mental health. The first comment is, and the second one is, so I'm not gonna lie, a lot of transgender people struggle with mental health problems. I've certainly struggled with anxiety, but that's not because we're trans, it's because we're more likely to be bullied, less likely to be hired, and because society is telling us we're something we're not. I understand why our friend would make the connection between mental health issues and being transgender as a mental illness, but the American Psychiatric Association doesn't classify gender nonconformity as a mental illness. Additionally, the American Medical Association has stated that there's no medical reason to ban transgender people from serving in the military. I assume that the person talking about losing their rational minds due to medication was referring to hormone replacement therapy. So hormone replacement therapy is when a person takes hormones or hormone blockers so that they can start exhibiting secondary sex traits associated with their gender identity. So like everyone has some testosterone and some estrogen present in the system. These supplements just change the balance that those who want to can have beards or boobs. It's sort of like puberty 2.0. We also manipulate hormones for birth control and to increase libido in older men, and those people are not other rational minds. So our second topic is battle readiness. The first comment is, the second one down is, the last one is, so I've never served, but from what I've heard from my friends, it sounds like it can be a really harsh reality. I'm not 100% sure why our friend says that a person who refuses to accept the gender assigned to them at birth will be a security risk. If anyone has any idea why this might be, I definitely want to hear about it. In response to our other friend, who is concerned about changing policies, there are currently 20 countries that allow openly transgender people to serve. Because I've never served, I'm left to assume that the US military would have unique challenges, but the other 20 countries have been able to make accommodations for folks, so maybe we can too. In fact, the RAND study in one of our sources, source 4, concluded that in no case was there any evidence of an effect on the operational effectiveness, operational readiness, or cohesion of force in the other 20 militaries. They also noted that similar policy changes in the US, like opening more roles to women and allowing gay and lesbian folks to serve, has an effect on readiness, unit cohesion, or effectiveness. The next topic is funding. First comment is, next one down is, so something important I'd like to share with all of you is that not all, even all trans people with dysphoria need or want hormone therapy or to get surgery. This is a super common misconception, but the medical needs of transgender people vary quite a bit. This is a super common misconception, but the medical needs of transgender people vary quite a bit. In response to our friends' concerns about the expensive transgender healthcare, $8 million have been spent on 1,500 trans folks in the military since 2016. Now, that's a lot of money, but because the total Pentagon military budget this year is $716 billion, that comes out to less than a quarter percent of the military budget. If the same amount of money was spent on the 2.1 million service members, it would only be 1.5% of the military budget. So the last comment on this topic is our friend is saying that the military doesn't pay for other aesthetic surgeries, and they didn't pay for fertility treatments for him and his wife, so why should they pay for transitional surgeries? The second point is that the military has a problem with folks only joining for the benefits, and gender reassignment surgery can take more than a year to recover from. So first, I'm sorry to hear about your fertility issues. I've heard that can be extremely frustrating and discouraging, and I hope that things are looking up for you and your family. I think the military should have paid for these procedures. If we have a $716 billion military budget, then we should have enough money to provide our service members with decent health insurance. Additionally, the military already provides full cosmetic surgery for enlisted service members. In response to our friend's second concern, most people are fully recovered from cuff surgery, which is like adding or removing boobs, in 4 to 6 months, which is the same amount of time needed to recover from a shoulder surgery from a rotator cuff tear, which is like a super common injury. Bottom surgery recovery time was a little bit more difficult to find information on. Bottom surgery is surgery for genitalia. There's kind of a lot of variables there, which is probably why it was hard to nail like a specific time length down. But what we could find recommended avoiding strenuous activity for 3 weeks. While I imagine that full recovery time would take longer than 3 weeks, I can't imagine it taking a full year or even much longer than 6 months. Additionally, people join the military for all kinds of reasons. Some do it to pay for college, some do it to get out of a bad family situation, and some do it because it's the best job prospect they can imagine for themselves. I don't really think it's fair to be angry if someone joins the military for health benefits, if it's okay for someone to join for GI benefits. The last comment I want to talk about is this one. So this is important. Although the numbers are a little hard to nail down because it's super risky to come out right now, there are between 1,500 and 15,000 transgender troops serving before the ban was passed. Now, that's a drop in the bucket compared to the 2.1 million survey. However, that's still thousands of Americans losing their jobs, and thousands more losing the opportunity to serve. Many trans folks seek out military service because it's considered exceptionally masculine, and both closeted trans men who want to feel safe acting more masculine, and closeted trans women wishing for the army to make them into men are drawn to serve. Transgender people being bullied in the military isn't their fault, and more to the point, not allowing people the choice to enlist adds insult to injury. We know that not everyone in the military is going to be accepting or even tolerant, but that's nothing new. We're aware that the world isn't a safe space. When someone who's transgender chooses to enlist, it's despite the risk of being bullied. That being said, there are a lot of service members who don't care if a person is transgender. It's not fair to judge the stance or opinions of a large group on the basis of generalization. I don't want to judge any of you based on where you come from or what your experiences are, and I don't want an entire group of people like me to be excluded from serving based on their identity. Similarly, I am transgender, but everyone experiences their gender differently. I can only share my experiences of being trans, so for example, I can't speak about what it's like to be a trans woman. If you want to learn more and hear more about being transgender from other perspectives, seek out other trans voices. Similarly, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I haven't served, and the only budget I manage is my own, so if I'm missing anything or misinterpreting any comments, I'd love for you to let me know. For a place to discuss the video and the issue, please follow the link in the discussion board. I'll be checking in periodically. Thanks for watching and engaging with me.